I'm having one time with Monty Nefero, and I'm going to put him in a crossface again, and he's going to go down right now. Yeah.
Your life expectancy, if you're a cannabis user, is longer than if you're not.
I'm going to live
you will
forever
not.
under those circumstances.
Well, there you go. You're all
Not bad.
set. Yeah.
Not bad. I find it interesting too. You got the Zen thing, but you're fascinated with mafia. What causes the mafia obsession?
Well, I would guess, as I was saying, comic books, Greek mythology.
Okay.
I got into Hollywood history. That got me into mafia history. I'm guessing part of it is probably the characters, but also it's just such a different life. Like if I am driving and God forbid, like a cat ran out in front of me and I hit the cat, that would just ruin my day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be bawling. I'd feel
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah.
And to know these guys that'll walk their best friend into the bar, hang out with them all night, and then like shoot him in the head. Like it's fascinating in a way that I don't want to know what it's like.
Sure.
Wow.
Sure.
It is fascinating, that disconnect, right? It is fascinating. Listen, Rob, I want to know about your mom and dad. Tell me, I know your dad has passed. I don't know if your mom is still with us.
She is.
Can you tell us about both of them?
I had great parents. I came from a family of kind of a big family because there was 5 of us, 3 kids. So I think about my dad on his income, feeding 3 kids and a wife and keeping the bills going and with a regular job. And it's amazing. I think that helped me want to make more money, but also to indulge a lot more. You know what I mean? Because like he was born like right after the Depression was ending, and it was like in that area, and he's like, I'm glad that he taught me the value of $1. First job I remember getting paid for was because my brother would cut the grass, my sister would do whatever. When I was little, I would bring the paper and the newspaper from the newspaper box by the road, bring it in every day, and I got like a dime a week, and I worked my way up from there. Even though other kids were getting like $5 or $10 because they had rich parents, shovel in the driveway or whatever, and be like, "What? You're lucky." But the value that he put in me, I think, is great, and also like no divorces, just a nuclear family, a lot of love, kind of a Leave It to Beaver kind of upbringing,
Okay.
like I really had a good childhood. For some reason, I never wanted to recreate that though. Like I wanted to venture out, and instead of trying to build like my own, little family and take care of them, like I wanted to be, out hitting the strip clubs every night and drinking and whatever, and and even at 50, like I don't want to recreate what I had. I kind of feel like it was so good that I don't know. I wonder a lot of times why my peers who have these paternal drives and they can't wait to have kids. Like I wonder, like are they like reliving through their child vicariously and putting them through the steps they just went through? Because I'm not done with those steps yet. You know what I mean? Like it seems like quite a while ago that I graduated high school, but if you talk about ECW or something, that doesn't seem like that long ago. It really doesn't. Like I'm not. I can't imagine how old I would feel if I had a 32-year-old son.
Yeah, sure.
Like some of my peers, I can't imagine. Like that's another thing where I say, to be me, there's a lot of qualifications that other people, can't have. Just that I've managed to balance everything out for me right now. Like Katie wants a family later and stuff, and her and I have like this amazing love and amazing bond. Then she can talk me into doing something, but I don't have that drive. I've never wanted to be in my dad's position.
Speaking of your dad, how did his passing affect you?
Whew, it was pretty rough. It wasn't like it was a complete surprise because, you know, he was sick and going downhill. He had, you know, some heart conditions. He had a stroke. He had another stroke. And like for the last, I don't know, year and a half of his life, he was trying to get partial paralysis back from the stroke with therapy and all this. So it was really hard. And then he'd get sick and he'd go in, and then while he's there, he'd get infected. And so, you know, when he finally passed, it wasn't a huge surprise, but you know, losing your dad's not easy. So it was, it messed with my head, and it also hit me in a time in my life. And I'm glad you brought this up. One thing that I've learned that I wish people would get from anything I said today, when you get broken down, you have to think about this. You got to get back to this. You got to rebuild yourself quickly so you can be ready for the next blow that's going to come.
Sure.
Because that's how life is. It's not just one thing. It's never just one thing. And so, you know, the marriage went south, which right now I'm so glad that I'm not in that marriage anymore. I had no idea how happy I could be. I thought I was happy, and for a 27-year-old, that was the happiest I'd been. But now when I look back at all the mistrust and the fights that were, and the needless stress, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad that my evil ex had the sense to get away. I couldn't have grown, you know, like I'm still like, I can't believe people, when I see them now, I can't believe some of the conversations I might have had with them 20 years ago, just because I was like, oh, you know, I can't let, if a good looking girl comes in the room, my wife, you know, she's going to be looking at me like, don't you notice that? She was so insecure.
This sounds familiar.
It does
Dude,
sound
this is
familiar.
another
sounds
thing I'm
very
talking
familiar.
about. Everybody can relate. Not everybody has the freedom in the life that I do. So
But-
I can't say just be me, because how many guys listening have insecure,
Yeah.
or women, you know, I mean, that's,
But in a way, she did you a favor, right? Because she
Absolutely.
got out of it. She didn't want to be part of it anymore. And in that
Absolutely.
time, gave you the opportunity to grow into your life.
I
So
looked
things
at it
happen
as
to
a
women.
failure at the time, you know, and grieved about it. I never wanted that. A lot of that was preset notions that was put in my head. When you get married, you stay together, you know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
there's so many preset notions that I could have done better without, you know. So part of getting to where I'm at is reprogramming yourself. But before I get to that, I just want to say about my dad. His death hit like boom, marriage went down. Now I'm in this big house, cold house by myself, depressed. And then, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm so weak. What if my dad dies? And I knew it was going to happen, but I prepared myself to be totally by it, you know, like I'm not gonna be able to handle that. So it was very hard. And then my dog died, and then it was just like you got to remember there's another wave coming. So deal with it, you know. Everyone, it's okay you are allowed a time to grieve and all that, but I'm saying get your strength back, because you know you just got punched in the face, but get your guard back up, because you're gonna get punched again. When it comes to reprogramming myself, there's a few books that I read that really helped me when I was really getting into building my spiritual self, right? One of them was a Celestine Prophecy. I don't know if you guys know, I can tell you guys that anybody that's listening that has read the Celestine Prophecy, they know that what I'm saying is true. It's a life-changing book for like-minded people, for people that believe in that energy, that's, you know, that vibration, that spiritual drive that drives everything. For people like me that have read that, it makes you see the world different. Another one is the Four Agreements. It teaches you to completely reprogram yourself. You know, there's just 4 simple agreements, and one of them is don't assume. That's so hard to do throughout the day, but if you practice, you know, it's just like, oh, so-and-so's not here. Oh, he had something better to do than this. You don't know that.
Yeah.
You have no idea. So why make it up, you know? But everybody does. It's natural for us. But so so instead of everything you've learned up till that point that's got you set up for things to happen that may or may not happen, you actually can actually reprogram your mind to see things different, so that you're prepared with a different reaction, and so that it will affect you in a different way than it would have with your old programming.
So I see on your finger, is that the WWE Hall of Fame ring?
It is.
So 2-part question. Number one, what did that induction to the Hall of Fame mean to Rob Van Dam? And this is kind of a personal thing. I got a little bit of hard on for Phil Brooks, right?
His name is CM Punk.
Which
stop calling him
made a
Phil
statement
Brooks.
calling
I thought
the
you meant Rusty Brooks when you said that. I was thinking,
No, but he
weird.
made the statement that the Hall of Fame's a Fugazi Hall of Fame and worthless. What are your thoughts on how it meant to you and his comments about the Hall of Fame?
I think anyone that's not in the Hall of Fame, I feel like I've heard them on YouTube claim, oh, it's not real, it's in Vince's mind because it doesn't exist anywhere, because they're not in it. And that's human nature. You always try to find a way to make the situation work for you, even if it really doesn't. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just like everyone leaves, everyone's going to pile in the van and they're all going to go party and you miss the van, right? You're going to be like, I should sleep anyway. I didn't really want to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
That's human nature. But to actually really, to not know and just to do it because it's a natural thing to do. And I'm not saying that he didn't put any thought into it. In that situation, sometimes, you know what, it really would be better if I slept instead of going, and sometimes I really was on the fence about going. But the thing is, reality. People block reality to put in their own perspective of it that works for them. And the reason I'm so honest to a flaw, I don't lie. I mean, I will tell the cops, no, I haven't been drinking. What are you talking about? I mean, if there's a time where if my freedom is at jeopardy or something like that, sure, and I'll joke, or something. But I'm honest because I want my reality known for what's real. And if I'm in my head and my reality isn't right, then I want everyone to know. You know what I mean? I've been telling people for years that marijuana is not that dangerous. They have it a Schedule I controlled substance. They have it banned by the federal government along with heroin and acid. But yet, I learned 30 years ago or so, maybe not quite that long, but I learned about why all these lies were put out there and what it was really about, and also how many people could really benefit from the use of cannabis and how they're not able to get it so that these evil agendas can step forward. And you start learning like how the government works. But the thing is, if I was to overdose from marijuana and die today, I would want everybody to know, oh, guess what, Rob had it wrong. I would want everyone to know because we learn from the truth. When you lie, you're changing history. That should be a sin. It's a sin to me to try to change history, for the perception moving forward, because life's factual. It is. I don't know. The Hall of Fame thing meant a lot to me because one, it's an honor to be recognized on that level. Two, it was a welcoming back to the WWE after being maybe considered, redheaded stepchilded, whatever that expression is. They kind of going down in history. And the thing is, I didn't change. I stayed the same. The world came around, and I knew it would. I did this show on Vice. Same time, maybe the week before, we were doing the Icons, and it was about marijuana. And it was about me speaking about marijuana, and the guy Krishna, the host, wanted so bad to get me upset that I got suspended and lost the world championship titles back in the day over possession of marijuana. And I don't get upset because I told him these are steps, like that was necessary in order for us to get where we're at now. The soldiers, they had to fall at the beach in Normandy so the other soldiers could get past and whatever. It's, hey, we're moving forward. That's great. And I wanted so bad to tell him, but it was like the day that we ended that interview. Later on, I found out WWE's not even testing for marijuana anymore, and I wanted to tell him that, but at the same time, I didn't want to sabotage it for WWE. I figured they're not going to make a big announcement because then they'll have haters coming after them, sponsors. So instead, they'll do it quietly because they know that marijuana is actually better for the athletes than any of the prescription drugs. Yeah, but it did get out, so I don't mind talking about it now. Otherwise, I would still keep it on the down low, even though it's a great thing. I wouldn't be telling people that they're not testing for marijuana because I don't want to put any heat on them. They're going in the right direction. They got to keep going that way, and soon everyone's going to learn. And I know this is way too early to tell people and have them accept this, but you are going to learn that your life expectancy, if you're a cannabis user, is longer than if you're not. You could call it controversial now. Someday
I'm going to live
you will
forever
not.
under those circumstances.
Well, there you go. You're
Not
all
bad.
set. Yeah,
Not bad. Not bad at all.
it's 100% true. They did tests. My friend Jack Harrer told me about it when I first met him. He was one of my mentors. People don't know he's real because now his name is a flavor of weed that nobody can pronounce.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But they did a test. Certain people saw the results. The test disappeared. Now it's like a mythical thing. You can look it up online and find its mythology, but it completely makes sense to me because everything that hits the body is in the form of stress, and stress is the #1 enemy to human health.
How many lives do you think might have been saved in this business if marijuana had been offered as a medication for pain instead of the pills that so many have taken in this business? Do you think we would have had some lives saved over the course
There's
of the
no
years?
question about it. There's no question about it. I'd like to think most of the lives. Now, in a real free society, when you can choose marijuana or opiates or cocaine or alcohol or whatever, in a total free society, not everyone's going to jump to one thing, you know? Over the years, I can't tell you how many people have told me that they wish they could smoke marijuana, but they get tested at their job. So because of that, they drink. You know, they go to the bar and they drink after work every night, which is way, way, way worse for the body, way worse for society.
Agreed.
But, you know, people are just now starting to learn that because the government back in the 30s completely wanted people to not know the truth about cannabis.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's for everybody, but now it's always been illegal to study the plant. So all we knew about it, THC, it gets you stoned. Now we're actually able to quasi-study it, even though the feds still got to make the change. And we're able to separate. Now there's over 100 cannabinoids in the plant. THC is just one of them. And when we're able to separate all of it now, we're able to take CBD and we're able to help so many people. RVD CBD getting, you know, I started that because of, it's all been my path, but I wanted to help, you know, with the mind issues. I'm sick of my peers going through CTE symptoms, depression, either overdosing on purpose or on accident, or just killing themselves, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading that the world was starting to catch up and learn that CBG could actually regenerate dead brain tissue. I was reading this in a Time magazine. The NFL was looking at it. That's what made me want to start my company. And the feedback that I get is like, it's so great. Like knowing that I'm helping all these people that take the time to write and tell me. Like my grandfather tried all this other stuff, nothing worked. Now, you know, he now he doesn't have as much pain. He's able to take his daily walks again. I mean, that's beautiful. And so what? I'm going to conform and keep people miserable because that's what everyone else does?
Wow.
Keep it away from cancer patients and tell them to add powdered milk to their food to try to get extra calories? Come on.
Right. I feel everybody should be cutting you a check, quite honestly, for the influence that you've had in the ring, especially as what we've seen wrestling develop into over the years. Mike and I call them flippers and flyers, but you were the true, real prototype where it counted.
Well, so wait, can I interject?
Sure,
then?
please.
So, on the other hand, where he's giving you compliments, which I totally agree, you're also maybe to blame for what's going on and what's happening to
That's
the rest
rough.
of the wrestling
Get him, Rob.
industry. Is that fair enough, Rob?
Define blame.
Get him.
Define blame. So, when I see you, Rob, I say that's a wrestler.
Yeah.
When I see you fly and hit somebody, I say, now again, obviously I know that it's scripted, but there's tons of athleticism and there's injuries involved, fantastic. But when I watch what's happening now, where there's a guy that's 150 pounds and 140 pounds, and they do a backflip and hit you with their toe, and then you fall like you got destroyed, I tend to believe, like, here's an innovator who changed the business. Everybody took that information and turned it into a clown show.
Right.
Is that defined enough?
Do you get frustrated when you see something that you really turned into an art form and it was beautiful to watch, unbelievable, seeing what it's become today?
And believable, let's keep saying.
Very believable,
Well,
seeing what it's become today.
I do, and that's the thing right there. I mean, not to overexpose the business. I still, I'm still a little protective, about.
Sure.
But
Sure.
I watch wrestling sometimes, like with Katie, to help her out. She's up and come. She's learning, point things out. And what I always notice is that their mindset is different. The Sheik had us in the mindset to where we're competing the whole time, and we don't take a break from that. We don't take a break from the mindset of competing to help you out, help keep you balanced with a spot or something like that.
Right.
We didn't do it. Like, even during it, if we had to do something, we're still competing during it. You know what I mean? Trying to shake the leg or something, even if you're whatever. And we really believed it. It was all about grab them. What are you doing? Anytime one of us was lying down on their back, cover them. What are you doing? Cover them. You can win. It was always about trying to win. So we would do a move, even way before we knew anything about psychology. It would be about trying to win. That was the first psychology. Even if it's a body slam, cover, kick out, no one's going to win that. But you're trying. And for me, that's the obvious thing that's missing right now. And I mean, the more everybody talks openly about wrestling, I kind of feel that wrestling might be going in the way of the police officer career. They both someday might be a thing of the past or changed so much. Wow. Yeah, that it's not the same anymore. I mean, I tell Katie this, I see the wrestlers and they're almost like a magician saying, see this hat? I'm going to pull a rabbit out of the hat, all right? You don't know the rabbit's already in there. See, I'm going to reach in and you're going to it's going to look empty, right? It looks empty, watch. Here's the rabbit. But really, I just had it covered and it looked empty, but he was there the whole time. Eventually, people are not going to want to keep paying to see that, right?
Yeah. That's right.
That's how I see wrestling going right now. And because of that, it's the easiest time out of the history of wrestling for fans to get into the business. Every really, really hardcore fan is only that far away from being in the business anyway.
Yeah.
Whether they're writing their own newsletter or doing their own shows or whatever, you almost don't even have to get trained anymore, to be universal with what they're doing nowadays. I'm so thankful I had the original Sheik and that old school mentality, and that's what kept me compatible, even though my stuff was outrageous to some, and now it's going in that direction where. Went from a closed-door society where people would get beat up if they went back in the dressing room in my time, right? To now where it's like all the building people can walk through or watch us work out in the daytime in the ring anyway. And everything is, I'm doing like Sammy the Bull does. You know how I said I hear him sigh when he does his things? That's not a normal thing. I think it's subconscious. When I run out of things to say, I go, I don't like it when Sammy does it, so I don't want to do it either.
How easy was it for you, being the trailblazer that you were? You were clearly introducing moves to your opponents that they had probably never seen before. How easy was it for you to get people to want to work with your revolutionary type of style? Did you realize I'm doing things no one's done in the ring before?
No, I knew, because even before my first match, that was what excited me and my best friend Dingo, who's no longer around, but we did everything together. As fans, when we would play wrestle, we were always inventing new moves, and that was always part of it. I was doing the split-legged moonsault before I ever had my first match. And I explain it this way, and I have had especially when I was younger, I've had people that I'm supposed to work with, and I tell them some of the things I'm going to do. I've had them leave, grab their bag and leave, you know, and that's definitely happened.
Sure, sure.
But I mean, if you think, you know, if I'm going to hit you with a leg drop, you don't need to know if I'm going to jump up and do a 360 before I hit the leg, or if I'm going to do a somersault and hit the leg. You don't even know that. If I'm going to pick Ray Ray up and do a 420 leg drop, your part's the same. I had to get my stuff in and get around it. That's why, you know, did I tell the Stan Hansen story here, or was that off camera?
That was off camera. You can tell it, please.
See if I can make it real quick. When I first started wrestling in Japan in 93, 94, probably part of 95, Stan, I think he liked me, but he totally thought that my wrestling, you know, had no place in the business. He was very clear about it, and he was always, we'd be talking earlier in the day about a match or whatever. He'd called me Claude because of the Van Damme. That was always his nickname. He'd say, "Oh, get Claude in there, let him do his ridiculous things, you know." And
sounds like Stan.
Let's get me back in here and let me try and make it believable again and get it. You know, it was always like that. And then I wrestled against him one time, and after the match, you know, he says, I got to tell you," he said, that's so different being in the ring with you. Like, I always thought seeing your stuff was silly, but it actually works. Like, you were there 1 second, and what I did, I gave him a couple shoulders in the corner. I did the backflip, ran at him, kicked him or something. "Oh, you like that, Stan Hansen?" And he said, "You were there." He goes, "You were there 1 second, and then you just like, and then you were gone. I couldn't see you, and then you appeared again." And of course, Stan is blind, but the point is, I didn't have to tell Stan I was going to do that, and that's a big difference in how I got my in, you know, working around people, and that's how my mind was, because I was still competing. If I'm competing with someone, I'm not going to say, you know, "Hey, will you catch my foot?" and then 1, 2, 3, and then you put, come on, you know, it was different.
Did you ever get injured privately when you were coming up with these new moves? Like, you know, okay, how does one perfect the Van Terminator when no one's looking? I mean, did you, like, you know, boing, oh crap, I didn't quite make it across the ring, let me try this again? How do you go about inventing these moves? Did you ever get injured privately before you presented them publicly?
So, one thing that'll probably sound weird, because I spent so much time stretching, and it's a very inner experience, I had to build a mind-body connection in order to get results from stretching. And because of all of that, I'm able to visualize, and I can see my limits in my head. I can feel it, and I know if I can do something or not. Pretty much, you know. Sometimes I might have to just test something, but it's like that. Most of the stuff, I feel myself. I feel my muscles moving. I feel myself jumping. All that in my head, and I know, you know, like if no, that's too much. But specifically with the Van Terminator, that was a progression. You know, there was the Van Daminator, and then I would throw the chair to Fonzie. Fonzie would hold, or Fonzie would throw the chair to the guy, and then I'd kick him, called that a hot potato move. And I started crouching the guy on the rope, jumping off the top rope, delivering a flying side kick when Fonzie would hold the chair. And I had fun with that air, and I kept scooting him back further, and I was like, I'm making it across the ring. So it was, you know, boom.
Shane ever send you a check for stealing your move?
No, he never did.